You need to read the Alien Enemies Act. We follow the Alien Enemies Act, and you're talking like it's a Title VIII removal. It isn't a Title VIII removal. That's a different procedure.
Yeah, so you're acknowledging without
Congress,
without
Alien Enemies Act.
So no extended proceedings, no chance to prove their innocence. Somebody's got a bad tattoo.
I'm telling
somebody's
you, we can go.
Been accused. I mean, you acknowledge tattoos are part of the calculation here. I mean, you might have a tattoo.
There's one factor out of many factors. I worked. Have you been in an alien gang squad? Because I have. Tattoos are one of many factors that's going to determine someone's gang. It's not the only one. You can't say, okay, tattoo gang member. No, there's other indicia that's added to that tattoo. Tattoo is one factor that adds to other factors to make that determination.
This ABC reporter would not let up. So, because he asked for it, Tom Homan gave him what he deserved, a reality check. It got me so hyped I was watching it early this morning and had to come out and make this video for you guys despite being in Japan at like 4 a.m. in the morning. It's SeanDaniel here. If you love Tom Homan, hit that like button. And in this video, you're going to see how this ABC reporter continuing to press and press and press with the same question about due process, despite the obvious legal answer Tom Homan gives him about following the laws which Congress has allowed the government to follow and execute. Despite his great answers, this guy does not let up.
I spoke with Tom Homan Friday and began by asking him about Senator Van Hollen's meeting with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Senator Van Hollen has obviously got a chance to meet with him, but he had to travel to El Salvador to get any information. Does that concern you at all? I mean, these are people sent by the United, I mean, in his case, sent by the United States, and not even a U.S. senator could get any information about his whereabouts or the condition of his incarceration without actually going down and making the trip to El Salvador himself?
Well, he obviously knew his whereabouts because he went there to see him. But you know what bothers me more than that is a U.S. senator traveled to El Salvador on taxpayer dime to meet with an MS-13 gang member, public safety threat, terrorist. I mean, in the meantime, the day before he traveled, an illegal alien was arrested for murder, released to the streets rather than honoring an ICE detainer in his very own state. What concerns me is Van Hollen never went to the border the last 4 years on Joe Biden when he had a 600% increase in sex trafficking in women and children. You have a record number of no-inspected terrorists crossing that border. You had 250,000 Americans die from fentanyl overdose because of the open border. You got over 4,000 illegal aliens died making that journey, which is an historic record. What shocks me is he's remained silent on the travesty that happened on our southern border. Many people died. Thousands of people died. I've met with hundreds of angel moms and dads who buried their children that were murdered by an illegal alien. How many angel moms and dads has he met in the state of Maryland? That's what concerns me.
He says that he has done this because it's the issue here is due process, and it's following a court order. The Supreme Court has said that the administration needs to facilitate his return so he could have his chance at due process.
I think, and I understand to facilitate, but he's also in custody. He's a citizen and national of the country El Salvador. El Salvador would certainly have to cooperate in that. But again, I'm on the loop on that. I'm not an attorney. I'm not litigating this case. We'll do whatever the law says we have to do. And what I think, I stand by the fact I think we did the right thing here. We removed a public safety threat, a national security threat, a violent gang member for the United States. ICE intelligence says he's an MS-13 gang member. A confidential informant says he's an MS-13 gang member. The country of El Salvador says he's an MS-13 gang member. I think he's exactly where he should be.
But you said that the El Salvador would have to cooperate. You have no doubt that if President Trump wanted him returned, that he could ask President Bukele to return him, right? I mean, President Trump could make this happen.
I can't comment on something I don't know. I can't.
But what do you think? I mean, you know President.
I'm not involved in.
I mean, you know President Trump. You've talked about how, he can get things done. I mean, if he wanted the guy returned, he could get him returned, right?
I do. I'm not going to comment on conversations I'm not a part of. I don't know what conversations they're having, who's having what conversation, what officials. I'm not in the loop on that.
So more broadly, let me ask you. I know you're a law guy. You've sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution. You did that through your entire career. The general principle I want to ask you is: do you agree that the Constitution extends those constitutional rights that we all have extend to every person in the United States. Every person, no matter what crime they're accused of or no matter their legal status.
And we have followed the Constitution. We have followed the law. I am confident that everything we've done is follow the law and is within the constitutional constructs. Absolutely.
And so that right of due process is something, the Fifth Amendment right of due process extends to everybody who would be deported.
Well,
they have a chance to have a hearing on this.
The length of due process is not the same under the Alien Enemies Act. That's why the Alien Enemies Act was created. President Trump invoked the authorities he had of the Alien Enemies Act, an act written and passed by Congress and signed by a president. We're using the laws on the books, the statutes on the books, to secure the border and remove significant public safety threats and national security threats to this country.
But let me.
So we're about halfway through, and the ABC reporter has not gotten the answer he wants. So what's he gonna do? Let me get into the more details about this. He's gonna keep pressing, because his job, as you guys know, is to get the gotcha moment. Get Tom Homan in a corner, in a word salad where he contradicts himself. He's not going to do that, but he's going to get fiery in just a minute. But watch how much this guy starts from soft and nice with his questions to then he starts getting a little more targeted, because you can tell he's trying to get Tom Homan worked up to get that gotcha answer. And he's probably frustrated, and his producers in his ear are probably frustrated as well, because Tom Homan's not giving them a great answer. He's not backing down. Justifiably so. Watch, he's going to put him in the corner so well right here.
Get more specific on this. The Supreme Court has long held that constitutional rights extend to every person in the United States. Justice Scalia, a majority opinion that he wrote back in 1993, wrote, "It is well established that the Fifth Amendment entitles aliens to due process in law in deportation proceedings." Are you saying that by invoking the Alien Enemies Act that undocumented immigrants are not entitled to those due process rights under the Fifth Amendment?
Well, I'm saying the procedure under Alien Enemies Act is less than it is there in a Title VIII removal proceeding, and we're following the rules of the Alien Enemies Act. Again, I think this administration has followed the law. They've used statutes enacted by Congress, signed by a president, to remove the terrorists from this country. I'm not saying, I'm not arguing over here that nobody should get due process. I'm just saying there's a different process under Alien Enemies Act, less of a process than you see through Title VIII.
Let me ask you, do you have any qualms about sending people to that notorious prison in El Salvador with no assurance that they will ever have a chance to get out? People that have no record, have not been convicted of any violent crimes. Do you have any qualms about that?
I believe removing public safety threats and terrorists, designated terrorists, to that prison in El Salvador. Tren de Agua MS-30 has been designated a terrorist organization. What you don't know, what most readers don't know, they haven't seen the experience what I've seen in my 40 years. I started in Board in 1984. I've talked to young girls, young as 9, that were raped by members of these gang cartels. I've held dead bodies throughout my career. I've talked to 100 angel moms and dads whose children were killed and brutally murdered by members of MS-13 who just didn't kill them. They mutilated them, they tortured them. So if people wore my shoes for the last 40 years and seen the travesties I've seen, they would understand that the worst of the worst need to be sent to a prison like that, because we got to protect American citizens, we got to protect this country.
And you're saying there's no mistakes? No mistakes, that everybody's sent to this prison, again, with no guarantee of any right to have a chance to challenge their imprisonment, any prospect of release. And they didn't go through a full, and none of these people, as you've acknowledged, have gone through a full trial.
You need to read the Alien Enemies Act. We follow the Alien Enemies Act, and you're talking like it's a Title VIII removal. It isn't a Title VIII removal. That's a different procedure.
Yeah, so you're acknowledging without
Congress, without an Enemies Act.
So no extended proceedings, no chance to prove their innocence. Somebody's got a bad tattoo.
I'm telling
somebody's
you, we can go.
Been accused. I mean, you acknowledge tattoos are part of the calculation here. I mean, you might have a
There's
tattoo.
one factor out of many factors. I worked. Have you been an alien gang squad? Because I have. Tattoos are one of many factors that's going to determine someone's gang. It's not the only one. You can't say, okay, tattoo gang member. No, there's other indicia that's added to that tattoo. Tattoo is one factor that adds to other factors to make that determination. What I'm saying is you can't ignore a tattoo. That's one more factor that leads you to believe maybe he's a gang member. It's just not based on tattoos. It's based on a lot of other things, but tattoos one of many. But no one's removed just because of a tattoo.
In other words, the Alien Entity Act means you can grab somebody and you can deport them without an extended hearing because you have labeled them a terrorist. Because you've said you've determined that somebody is a member of the gang, and therefore they don't have to go through the extended process of the opportunity to have a full hearing. That's what you're saying. I mean, let's just be clear.
I'm saying we're following the laws of this country, and there's a different procedure for each one. We're doing things within the frame of the law. We're doing things legally.
Okay.
I stand by that. Now, again, I'm not a constitutional scholar. I'm not going to argue this in court. That's what the Department of Justice does. But I'm sitting here today thinking we've done the right thing for this nation, following the laws and the Constitution of this country.
And that's why we love Tom Homan. That's why I got up at 4 a.m. to make this video. Hit the like button if you appreciate that. The weirdest part is that the ABC News guy, his team, his producers, they will have Tom Homan on. They will hound him with the same questions. But they won't have any congressional members on who are not moving to get this Alien Enemies Act removed. If you don't like the law that is in place and has been passed, why don't you get mad at Congress, who can change the law? Not the border czar Tom Homan, who's in charge of executing that law and in charge of securing the border. And I don't know how Tom does it, because he deals with these interviews all the time. And he has to, because if you want to combat the negative messaging that the media is going to pummel through people's ears, even to our ears, those of us who know what's going on, and you guys that watch my videos. But if Tom Homan's going to combat that bad messaging that infiltrates so many people's minds in the country today and in the world today, he's got to go on and deal with the same questions. And that's frustrating. And it's really impressive how he keeps his cool and he makes logical points. And he doesn't get caught in their cornered questions that try to pin him in a situation or a statement that he contradicts what he said in thousands of other interviews, what the Trump administration has said. That's a lot to keep on your head, especially because these guys are pros. These questioners, the interviewees, hosts. And it's so cool to see when a host gets frustrated and he keeps pressing Tom. And Tom eventually pulls out the big card that he can always pull out. And it's like, sir, you have never even made an arrest, never even been at the border, never even seen the dangers of these people like I have. Boom. After he says that, it's all over. But see, he uses that as a final resort. He doesn't need to use that right away, which is great, because these people just want to make logical cases and legal cases and arguments. Tom can do that too. And that's why we love him. But he can also stomp them with his experience. It's itsSeanDaniel here. I'm going to go edit this video really quickly, and I will see you in the next one.